Good morning, traders. Today is the 23rd, half past 8 in the morning. Just having a look at this week's midweek market focus. I'm going to start off just very quickly catching up with, there was an alert that some of us sent out last week just with regards to potential reversals happening. I'm just going to have a look here at the dollar index. It's unusually bullish for a while. It's been resisting this sort of 81,500 level, and this is the weekly chart, and we can see here at this point it's sort of working its way into the next channel above. So it's predominantly bullish at this point, which is one of the reasons that the euro is inversely kind of working its way downwards and is inversely bearish. So this is just an interesting key level here to be watching, which is probably 12650, and it'll be interesting to see if this breaks this week, closes into this channel, works its way down to the next level, which is probably about 12500. So at this point, I'm just a bit wary about doing any particular trades until I see what the euro does at this particular point, because it could still bounce and we could end up with a double bottom, or alternatively it can break through. But I do believe if we do break this level here, we're still bearish down to this next level, and then the trend will continue to be bearish. On sterling, at this point, this is very unusual. This is quite an interesting bearish breakout. We broke the previous high, at which point we immediately reversed, and we've broken our previous lows over here. So I am bearish down to this level over here. And of course, if we break these lows, I will be bearish down to this level here. And I'd probably expect this as an upwards trend that's been going for a while. I would probably expect a price action will low test, and then we'll see what happens at that point. If it does low test, then I would assume that this wedge that we're in will then continue. Let's go and have a look at the Swissy. Swissy at this point, I'm still happily bullish on this one. Bullish at least up until this level. We'll see what happens when it breaks the previous high, but I have to say that's working relatively well. All of this is there is this relationship between the majors and of course the US dollar index. Then we have the Japanese yen. Let's have a look at this. Quite interesting. I was very bullish on this except for what happened at this particular point. So I am watching the yen at this moment. I'm not really convinced either way. I do think there's a bit of a battle going on. If we have a look at the daily, there's definitely an attempt here to reverse. So there's a battle going on of some sort here. I do believe that if we break this high, this level over here, which is 80.552. If we break that, I believe the bullish trend is then going to continue up to this level and probably then continue upwards. So, however, if we break this low, we're obviously continuing down bearishly. Have a look at the Aussie dollar as well. Go back to the weekly. We have an overall downtrend, and at this point, it's probably going to come down to the 9,700 level. And it is particularly bearish. We have a series of, we have this quite a strong level of resistance up here, and we do, even though we've broken this recent high, we have returned again all the way down here. So it'll be interesting to see if we break this low. I would continue to be bearish on this. So I am bearish in the short term. If I look at Kiwi, it's also in a downtrend, series of lower highs here, working its way back down to the same level. So we do appear to be bearish on this, and it's quite interesting if we jump across to gold. Gold and silver. Gold is almost certainly bearish at this particular point in time. Very interesting to note that we had a low test off quite a strong support level last week, and price has, at this particular point in time, has not necessarily, it has created a new high. It has broken this previous bar's high. However, at least at this particular point, it's Wednesday and it's working its way back down. So this is a very kind of bearish sign. I do think that if this bar continues and closes bearish this week, I would anticipate that we will have another battle at this level. However, I am bearish at this point in time, so I would be selling gold. And let's have a look. So that's our strong downtrend over there. So that's gold, and that, by the way, is gives you some sort of explanation for the Aussie dollar as well. The next thing we want to have a look at is just have a look at the indices. So the S&P 500 has been producing. Has reached a new high in recent weeks. It appears to be doing a pullback down to this level here. So we'll see now if it then returns and heads back up and begins its phase one long again. So that is, at this point in time, I have no reason to believe that this is bearish. If I look at the Nasdaq, we had obviously a very bullish run recently, and to compensate for that, it's done quite a strong pullback, at least to the 50 moving average, potentially down to this level, which is then obviously resistance becomes support. So that's looking relatively good. At this point, I would be very careful about trading this unless you have very strong beliefs in whichever direction of any selections that you may have of stocks of those. And the FTSE is quite bearish at this point. So at this point, I would look and see it's closed into this channel. I'd be interested to see if it comes back down to the 575 level. Alternatively, this week we'll see if it closes back into this level and then begins to work its way up. But obviously, as you can see, price action is now broken below the 50-day moving average. Sorry, I beg your pardon, it's the 50-week moving average because we're on the weekly chart here. So that's quite interesting to see. We'll see what happens to the 20 as well if that breaks below it. We'll often get a bit of a retracement at that point, and it has done quite a strong move down last week. So at this point, I'm bearish on the FTSE, bullish on S&P, and bullish on the Nasdaq, and just waiting for those phase ones to begin before I start actually trading any of those. That'll be interesting to see because obviously if both the S&P and the Nasdaq go long and start to create new highs, I'm not really too worried about the FTSE. I do believe the FTSE will then at that point begin to show more bullish tendencies. And that's predominantly it for this week. Good luck, traders. I think there's a lot of opportunities out there. And you should be looking, obviously, to trade a lot of, once these things start to confirm, once the euro breaks through these levels, you should be able to do quite a few income generators short, snipers short. So there's a lot of power play short. You'll be predominantly bearish on a lot of these different currency pairs. And then just make sure that you pay a lot of attention to, please be careful about paying attention to your phase ones, your phase twos, see if things are overextended. Make sure that you're not too close to a support or resistance level. Obviously, alternatively, you're going to have a bounce if you're not prepared for that. And happy trading, and we'll chat to you next week.